Berlin, November 1915. The Great War consumes Europe, leaving the streets cold and cast in a somber silence. But, despite the chaos outside, there is a man fighting a different battle within the solitude of his study. For Albert Einstein, the only battlefield is his own desk. Einstein is afraid. Terrified that he has wasted 10 years of his life chasing a ghost. For a decade, he has tried to prove Newton wrong. To prove that gravity is not an invisible force, but the shape of the universe itself. But his equations simply do not work. And to make matters worse, the world's greatest mathematician is closing in on him, ready to steal the theory before he can finish it. Months earlier, in an act of naivety, Einstein visited the University of Göttingen. There, he gave a series of lectures, presenting his still incomplete ideas to the mathematical geniuses of the era. Among them was David Hilbert. Hilbert was everything Einstein was not at that moment: methodical, rigorous, and a calculating machine. Hilbert saw the concept of general relativity and was fascinated. He decided that he would find the final equation. Einstein returned to Berlin in a panic. He wrote to a friend, "Hilbert has found the solution." The race had begun. It was the visionary physicist against the perfect mathematician, and Einstein knew his own calculations held a fatal error. What was the error? The planet Mercury. According to Newton, Mercury should orbit in a precise manner. But the reality was that its orbit shifted slightly each year. An anomaly known as the precession of the perihelion. Einstein's previous theory, the so-called Entwurf of 1913, tried to explain it and failed. The numbers didn't add up. If his theory that gravity is geometry was true, it had to predict the exact movement of Mercury. If it didn't, it was all a lie. It was do or die. Einstein locked himself in his study. He cut all ties with the outside world. What followed was madness. Einstein committed to giving a new lecture every Thursday of November at the Prussian Academy of Sciences. November 4th, he presents an equation. Days later, he realizes it is wrong. November 11th, he presents another correction. Still doesn't work. November 18th, he discovers that Hilbert is about to publish. The pressure is unbearable. Einstein works day and night, sleeping in bursts on the sofa. His body is at its limit, but his mind reaches absolute clarity. He discards his previous biases. He lets the mathematics speak. And then it happens. He adjusts the field equations one last time. He inputs the data for the mass of the Sun and Mercury's orbit. The result flows from his pen, 43 arcseconds per century. Exactly what astronomers observed. Exactly what Newton could not explain. Einstein would later recall that his physical reaction was so intense, he suffered actual heart palpitations. He felt as if something had snapped inside him. On November 25th, 1915, he presents the final equation. He had done it. He had redesigned the way we understand the universe. The rivalry ended in the most elegant way possible. David Hilbert, acknowledging defeat, pronounced a phrase that would go down in history. Every boy in the streets of our university town understands more about four-dimensional geometry than Einstein. And yet, the work did not belong to the mathematicians. It belonged to Einstein. Hilbert understood that mathematics is merely the language, but physical intuition is the message. Before that November, space was a dead stage, a rigid, silent void. But after Einstein's pen, the universe came alive. It revealed itself as a dynamic entity, an invisible fabric that breathes, stretches, and twists under the weight of the stars. The price was devastating. Einstein left his health, his marriage, and his sanity on that desk in Berlin. But in exchange, he gave us the keys to reality. Without that solitary agony, today we would likely still be partially blind to black holes, the expansion of the cosmos, and the true origin of time.